Hello, my name is Dr. Richard Opper, and I welcome you to this program. I hope that this moment finds you happy and healthy and peaceful. I am going to instruct and discuss meditation with you, give you an idea of what it is, how it might possibly help you, and give you some ideas of how you can actually do this at home by yourself. Let me tell you a little bit about me first. I was a practicing chiropractor for 51 years in this region, primarily in Munson and Palmer. And over those 51 years, I've treated approximately 20,000 different people. And one of the really interesting things about not only helping people with pain and other conditions, but because we are a tight-knit community, a small community, I really got to know a lot of those patients that I saw over all those years. And I met their spouses and their children, and now their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. So in getting to know a lot of those people, I became acquainted with not only their diagnosis, their complaints, and the reasons that they came to see me initially, but I came to understand in many cases their own personal, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual histories. And also, without trying, I often learned about their family situations, problems, but also their happy times as well as their sad times. As part of my training early on, I had a year's work of training in hypnosis and meditation, and that was classroom work and clinical work. And I had many occasions to use it in my practice. Early on, I used the hypnotic and meditative techniques for a lot of people who were suffering from anxiety, some from depression. It's interesting, and you probably understand this, and that is that people who suffer from chronic pain often become depressed and experience anxiety. And also, people who experience anxiety for various reasons, or depression for various reasons, often suffer from physical pain as well. It speaks to the fact that we are not unidimensional, in that we're not just physical, we are not just mental, and we're not just spiritual. We are all three combined. And so if we are kind of off, if you want to use that term, in one of those aspects of our lives, we can be off in all of them. And what I learned, not only from my experiences in practice, but from my schooling, was that sometimes you had to treat other aspects of your patients other than just for the pain. And so under different conditions and different problems that people experience when they saw me in the office, I was able to suggest meditation, offer hypnosis at times, and just give them some basic family advice. One of the things that I learned in my schooling was that oftentimes the beginning of healing, whether it's your physical healing or your mental or emotional healing and your spiritual healing, is the act of forgiveness. Not only offering forgiveness, but accepting forgiveness as well. I was at a seminar in San Francisco many years ago, and it was a seminar on affirming your self-worth. It was a seminar to encourage excellence, not only in professional life, but in personal life as well. And that was the first thing the lecturer said to us. He said, if you want to be successful in life, in all aspects of your life, the first thing you should try to do is forgive your parents. So I spent the first evening after hearing that trying to discover why I needed to forgive my parents. There wasn't much that I found, quite honestly. I had a very good upbringing, a loving family. But the next day, when we opened the session, the lecturer asked, did anyone have any revelations when they kind of explored what I suggested, and that was to forgive your parents. And several people raised their hands and expressed that they were happy that he had suggested that. And I might add that he said, and he offered a caveat, and that was that he was not a psychologist, and he wasn't going to go into it with any depth. But what was important was that each of us, if we had a problem at some time with our parents, or we had bad experiences, whatever they might have been, that it was important as a starting point to offer forgiveness, blanket forgiveness. Because, as you probably know, if we have a mindset in which we are unforgiving, we are the ones who suffer, not the people who we can't forgive. So healing starts oftentimes with something as simple as that, but yet complex. And after all, we are very complex systems, if you want to use that expression. We are, as far as we know, the most complex systems in the universe. We are complex on many levels. Our physicality, our mentality, our spirituality, our abilities to learn, to explore, to invent, and also our abilities to love unconditionally, and to have experience and practice filial love. These are all important things and part of our complexity as human beings. Oftentimes, those good aspects of what we are, what is our birthright, which is attentive love, a sense of security, and happiness, even as early as the first day after we're born, we require those things to live comfortably and to live successfully. Sometimes when we grow up, we don't acquire those as efficiently and as easily as we can speak about them. So oftentimes we are, and the terms that they use now are damaged or wounded when we are children. We grow up with that. So these are some of the things that meditation can address. Now, meditation is really a pretty natural process. The word comes from the Latin, which is meditatus, and it means deep thought, concentration, focused attention, and focusing attention inwardly. We do that naturally many times, and we don't call it meditation, but it just happens to us. And those experiences can be described sometimes as daydreaming. For instance, if you are a passenger in a car or a train, bus, whatever, and you're looking out the window and you're kind of focused on the landscape or the trees that you're passing by rapidly. Sometimes that occupies your consciousness and your mind goes into deep thought, to the extent where if you're on a trip or your mind is in that particular mode, time goes by and you don't even realize it. An hour can feel like 5 minutes or 2 hours even. And that is a result of an inward focusing, because your consciousness is distracted by what you're looking at and is occupied by what you're looking at. And that is the basis for many of the techniques used to induce meditation. So meditation is a state of mind. It's actually a deeper level of brain function. So in other words, at this moment, you're listening to me, and I am speaking. We are in our, what we call, or may call, a daytime brain. These brain levels are actually measured by scientists now. Neurophysiologists, behavioral specialists, psychologists are doing a lot of work on brain function. They use equipment and devices such as EEGs, electroencephalograms, which actually produce and demonstrate different brain waves. They use MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging, after they introduce a dye into your bloodstream, and they can measure and visualize which parts of your brains are active based upon how you're feeling in that moment or what you're doing in that moment. And our brain is really compartmentalized. I won't go into it in depth, but there is the primitive brain, in which you resides your primitive survival instincts. There is anger, the fight or flight mechanism, which you might be familiar with. And then there is the cortex, or the outer sections of your brain, in which you think and reason, memory areas. And then there's a part of the brain which is the autonomic or automatic part of your brain, which actually runs your body, the automatic systems of your body that you don't have any control of. Interestingly enough, some of the inductive measures and means that we use to invoke and encourage the meditative state have to do with using our cognitive brain, or our reasoning and thinking brain, to influence our unconscious brain. And so one of the techniques we call relaxation, progressive relaxation, where we have you just sit comfortably and close your eyes and consciously think of the parts of your body, starting with your head, and asking you to relax the muscles in your head and your forehead, your face, your jaw, especially your jaw. Science has recognized that when we are anxious or worried, oftentimes the first muscles in our body that react to that unhappy stimulus is the jaw muscles. And so there are some people who actually create TMJ, temporal mandibular joint conditions, inflammations, because they grind their teeth and their jaws are so tight. So you can control that by using your cognitive brain and to influence the muscles that are normally under unconscious control to be under conscious control, and you can relax that way. So you progress down your body in progressive relaxation until you finally reach your feet. You become very mindful of how your body is feeling that way. And that serves two purposes. The relaxation is necessary for induction into a meditative state. So whatever you can do to relax really introduces you, or can introduce you, to that meditative state. So by the time you do get down to your feet and relax, you are almost into what we call your subconscious mind. In meditation, you actually enter the subconscious. So the relaxation that you have helped to establish in your body by using the progressive relaxation mechanism actually quiets your conscious mind. It doesn't make it disappear, but it quiets it and allows you to go into your subconscious. And it is in your subconscious mind where meditation actually takes place. So there is no, meditation is not a contest. There are no good meditators and no poor ones. It's a process. And even the very beginning of the process, the first time that you try to do it, is beneficial. Because any time that you divert the thoughts and energy from your consciousness during the daytime to your subconscious mind, you're giving your consciousness a rest. And so you can perhaps compare it to taking a nap, a brief nap, or sometimes they call it a power nap. And even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, you can come out of that power nap and feel refreshed because you've actually relaxed and rested your brain. Now we do this as a natural course when we go to sleep. And what scientists have, what scientists have discovered through these tests, the EEGs and MRIs, is that when we begin to fall asleep, we go into these lower levels called the subconscious. And they identify each level with specific brain waves. And so the brain wave that you experience when you meditate or you're in a deep state of hypnosis is the same and mimics the brain wave in levels in the first two levels of your subconscious. I will tell you what they're called. They're called the alpha waves and the theta waves, which are the first two levels in your subconscious mind. And those are levels which we all reach at night when we fall asleep. The deepest level is called the delta wavelength and the delta sleep level. That is your deepest sleep. And of course, you probably have heard that that is where actual healing takes place. So for instance, if you've been unwell, oftentimes, no matter what it is, if you get a good night's sleep, in the morning you feel better. Because not only has your mind relaxed, but just the fact that your consciousness has relaxed and slowed way down kind of gives your body a chance to recoup. Because, as I mentioned, everything is interconnected. The mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical are all connected. And our mental state affects everything else. And everything else affects our mental state. So, in the science, also, in these various levels, in these subconscious levels, they quantify the brain waves. And so they know that there are so many oscillations in your brain wave when you're conscious, in your conscious mind, and they have quantified the levels in the subconscious mind as well. And so the speed and the oscillation of those brainwaves slows way down to where when you're in your delta level, delta sleep, the healing sleep, the brainwave is between 0 and 4 oscillations per second, as compared to what may be actually thousands when you're in your waking brain, your conscious brain, which is called the beta brainwave. And that beta brainwave can be anywhere from 14 to 20 oscillations a second, up to thousands, depending upon what's going on at that moment, what the stimuli are, what problems you're dealing with, whether at work, whether with your family, what the family situation is. So meditation is now being used scientifically in the fields of chiropractic, medicine, psychology, psychiatry, because they have discovered what has been anecdotal for a couple of hundred years, and that is that when you can kind of harness the quieter stages or the subconscious levels of your brain to calm down and to change somewhat your thinking brain, that there are definite, measurable health benefits. One of those benefits, which is very pertinent for this time in our lives, and I'm speaking of this time and space when we have all experienced the difficulties of the pandemic. Many, many people now have experienced anxiety who never really had serious anxiety before. Loneliness, fear, anxiety essentially is fear. Depression has come about because of the isolation, and just thinking about almost constantly, if we've been watching the news, about how the pandemic has been spreading, how many people unfortunately are dying, and what's going on in the world. Not to speak of just the news in general and how disturbing that can be. So yes, anxiety levels have risen in the past year and a half or so to a real peak amongst our population, not only here in the States, but all over the world. People generally have just been living in fear of what's been going on. Not to speak of the poor folks who live in countries where there's constant warfare, famine, and migration. But back to meditation. So meditation has become a tool for professionals in the healing arts to help those with anxiety problems and the secondary conditions that arise from anxiety. So when people are anxious, their levels of adrenaline are always peaked. And so the byproducts and the secondary conditions because of that can be digestive problems, headaches. People suffer from high blood pressure because of that. And those are some of the common conditions that tamping down anxiety by controlling and changing your brain waves through meditation help. They've quantified through research in the last several years that 30 to 40% of people who are diagnosed with depression can maintain a healthier attitude and brain function if they meditate after they go through a series of treatments with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And they've found that a lot of those people don't have to rely on medication to change those brainwaves. And that's one of the benefits of meditation. for all of us. Those of us who may suffer from severe anxiety often try other means to control it. They call it self-medication. And sometimes we all know that these substances we use for self-medication are not really conducive to our general health. So today, meditation is actually being taught not only by non-professionals, which is fine, but by people who are trained in the various aspects of the healing arts. So it's becoming very mainstream. Meditation is not easy, and it's not hard. The strange thing about trying to meditate is that if you try to meditate, or you try to work at it, you're kind of defeating the purpose. Meditation should be achieved almost as easily as when you fall asleep and your brain transitions into that first level of consciousness, subconsciousness. And that is the level in which we begin to enter what we call a meditative state. And so when you try, you actually are using too much conscious brain power to relax, and which you should be doing just the opposite. So therefore, the relaxation and induction techniques that we use are very important, and we bypass too many outward conscious level thoughts so that we can achieve the meditative state. So relaxation, to reiterate, is a very important part of the meditative process. Before I go any further, let me just say to you, I will do with you in this program a meditative induction. It's not going to be deep, but it's going to help you get started, if you will, and you can do it at home and comfortably. We use other types of instruction, and to deepen the meditation, we talk about fears and anxieties in sessions. We talk about being happy and how to be happy in different sessions. Again, we deepen the meditation in a particular session. In the first session that everyone has to go through, we are introduced into meditation. We go into a meditation, and I, as a meditation guide, bring you there using the various induction techniques. Now, I mentioned the induction technique, which I call progressive relaxation, but there are others. What you will have noticed in looking at your TV screen at this moment are backdrops. There may be some ocean videos, maybe some music and sounds, and those are induction techniques as well. So the repetition of waves and even the repetitive sounds of the waves help to calm the conscious mind and bring you into a meditative subconscious state. Looking at the scenery, beautiful scenery, can do that. Listening to sounds and music can bring you into a meditative state. The Tibetan monks have mantras, and they make a vocal sound. It's like a deep humming. And that diverts the consciousness away from the subconscious mind. That allows a deepening into the meditative state. And they practice that continually. Some people use the sounds of Tibetan bowls. If you're not familiar with Tibetan bowls, you can go on YouTube and search it. It's very interesting. They are pitched differently, and some of the pitches are more acceptable to different people than others. But you can find a pitch using a Tibetan bowl, which you can actually buy if you want and use. Some meditation guides actually use Tibetan bowls. And the sound, concentrating on the sound, just naturally brings you inward. So that we use these sensory stimuli to bring you into a meditative state. So again, I use the progressive relaxation, but I like to use it along with a scene of waves at the beach, or a scene of the sky, the night sky, or just clouds moving, or a scene of being on a boat, and also with the sound that accompanies those scenes. And so with the relaxation and the inductive tools that I use and that you can use even at home will bring you into this meditative state. So let's try to guide you at this point so that you can perhaps experience what it feels like to go into this state. So what I'd ask you to do is to try to relax yourselves, sit comfortably. If there's anything that's irritating you, maybe your shoes are too tight or your belt is too tight, loosen it up, try to make yourself feel as comfortable as possible. If you're not warm enough, put a blanket on, but sit back and don't try to relax. As I said, don't try to do this, just let it happen. So, keeping your eyes open for a while, you can just look at what you're seeing on the TV, which is perhaps a pleasing scene that will enable you to come out of your conscious mind and thought process and start to relax. So I would ask you at this point to close your eyes if they start to feel heavy. Leave them open if you wish. They will become tired eyes or heavy eyelids, and so just naturally close them. We're going to bring you to a place that is completely safe, completely comfortable, and most likely very happy. It's going to be it's going to be a restful place for you. And when you come out of it, you're going to feel alert, you're going to feel very comfortable, and you'll notice a change in how you progress through the rest of your day and the way you're thinking. There'll be a calmness in you that perhaps you didn't have before. So let's start with relaxing the muscles in your head and your forehead. Just let them relax, and your jaw especially. Just let your mouth kind of open slightly. You can move your jaw around a little bit if you want, and you'll feel the relaxation coming over you as soon as you do that. And so we're using your consciousness right now to interact with your unconscious functions, which is your muscle tension. So you want to extend now that relaxation from your jaw down into the back of your neck. And as you know, most of the tension that you experience is in the muscles of the back of your neck and the top of your shoulders. So as you're relaxing, I would ask you to please keep your heads erect. Don't let your heads drop or turn. Just keep them upright. And let the muscles of the back of your neck relax. You can move it gently until you feel that relaxation. Keep your jaw relaxed, your forehead. You can close your eyes if you wish. Extend the relaxation now into your shoulders. You can just kind of move your shoulders a little bit, and you'll feel it relaxing. And let that relaxation extend downward into your arms and into your hands. Let your hands rest in your lap with your palms up, and rest one hand lightly on top of another. You'll find that in thinking and being there at that level with your hands, that you may even feel them tingling a little bit. Feel your body pressing into the chair that you're sitting in. Feel your back up against the chair. Feel the bottom of your legs pressing into the chair. Extend the relaxation into your upper legs and now down into your lower legs. Feel your feet on the floor. If you want to, take your shoes and socks off. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Move your toes a little bit so that they can feel the floor. And you'll also experience some tingling in your feet. Just let your whole body relax. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Feel your diaphragm and your stomach as you breathe. Try it once more. Take a deep breath and let it out very slowly. Feel how your stomach is totally relaxed and moves when you exhale. And now just regulate your breathing. Let it occur naturally and slowly. As you breathe and as you relax, now you are going into a state of deep relaxation, a meditative state. It's very comfortable, very relaxing. And I'm going to deepen it for you even more. I'm going to count backwards from 10 to 1. And as I do, see yourself going down a staircase. And with each step downward that you take, you become more and more relaxed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very relaxed, very comfortable. I'm just going to stay here just for a moment. Enjoy it. Pay no attention to any thoughts that come into your mind. Don't even try to be where you are. Just let it be there. Let it happen. Totally relaxed. Paying attention to my voice and enjoying your relaxation and the comfort of your relaxation. Very good. Now, when you do this on your own, you can get right back to this place by merely counting backwards from 10 and going down the staircase. And you will find that each time you do this, you can go deeper and deeper into a state of meditation and relaxation. And you can come out of it whenever you wish. You can even set the time before you do it, and you will automatically come out. When you awaken, you will feel refreshed, almost as if you've had a full night's sleep. So we're going to come out now and go back up the stairs as I count from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, up the stairs, awakening. 4, 5, becoming more alert. 6, 7, 8, awakening. 9 and 10. Open your eyes. You should feel pretty relaxed. You will remember what I said to you when you were in a deep state of relaxation so that you can achieve it on your own. So what I just did was guide you into a state of meditation. And as I said, it's not a contest. Even if you went into it lightly, that's fine. That's good. Don't expect anything. Expectation when you meditate keeps you from reaching deep levels. So don't try, don't work at it. Just be there and just do it. Let me wish you all peace and light and happiness. Those are your birthright. That is how all of us need and should feel. Thank you very much for listening.